career in terms of where it is you have to go, what it is you play for. All right. How hard is it
Yeah.
having the career that you've had?
It's a grind. I can't really complain because we are traveling the world playing beach volleyball, but we're not making the money that these other professional athletes are making. So we go around and playing because we love the sport, and I've been fortunate enough to have some really great partnerships with some great companies that support me and keep me going, especially in times like this when we're not competing, we're not making any money from tournaments. So it's really important to have those partnerships, and I've been really lucky throughout the years to have their support. But it's a grind. I mean, you make money at tournaments. That's pretty much it. If you go to a tournament and you get last place, you might make $1,000 or something, and you flew halfway across the world to get there. So it's a lot of traveling. It's a lot on your body. It's a toll. I think I flew almost 200,000 miles last year. Just chasing this ball around the world, trying to make my dreams come true. Yeah.
Brooke, I was just kind of looking. I know that there was I don't know what there is in this area, but I thought I remember when I first moved here there being a pretty big beach volleyball event in Southwest Florida. Do you think we have the market for it? I mean, come on. I mean, we saw the pictures the day before they closed the beaches. There was only a few 100,000 people in front of the Lani Kai. It certainly seems that, we have the sand sculpting and we get all kinds of people. Do you think this market is this something you would long for, is to have a big beach volleyball tournament in Southwest Florida? Do you think we would support it?
Absolutely. I think the beach volleyball community is only growing here. It's really neat to see. And, back in the day, AVP used to come here every year to Fort Myers Beach, and it was one of the players' favorite stops. I think we could do that again. AVP was coming to Florida just in the last few years up to St. Pete, but, Florida just hasn't been on the list the last few years. So I'd love to get them back here in Fort Myers, and even a big tournament. Like over in Fort Lauderdale, we've had the international tournament over there, and that's a great event, a really good turnout. But I would love to get it over here in Southwest Florida. It'd be great for our community.
What was Rio like for you? You partnered with Lauren Fendrick. I know you didn't have the team success that you wanted, but what was it like being an Olympian?
Yeah, like you said, we didn't have the success we wanted. It was devastating and heartbreaking. But, at the end of the day, we did the hard stuff, which was the qualifying. And especially playing with a bum shoulder for a year and a half and still qualifying was really special to us. And I think the moment that, it all kind of hit was when we walked in the opening ceremony. It's an all-day event. It's dragged out. You have to be ready, so early in the morning, and it doesn't happen until nighttime. But once you walk in that arena and you're surrounded by all the best athletes in the world, it just kind of hits you like, holy cow, like, I'm an Olympian. I'm a U.S. Olympian, which I think is even more special. I can look back now and appreciate what we did and appreciate being an Olympian rather than looking back on the heartache of it all.
How long did it take you to make that transition? Because the first thing you mentioned is that we didn't compete as well as we would have liked to. So how long after the Rio Games did it finally hit you that, maybe we didn't perform as well as we wanted, but this experience is something I'll take with me forever?
It definitely took a while. I'd say in the last year or so, I finally started shifting that perspective. But I think it was when I teamed up with Carrie and realized I have another shot at it. And, it wasn't all over for me. So now it's used as like motivation for this next run, now for 2021. So, yeah, the perspective has changed, but it definitely took a few years for that to happen.
We're talking with Brooke Sweat, Olympian, beach volleyball player, teams with Kerri Walsh Jennings. They're one of the best teams in the world. It's her 34th birthday today, so happy birthday. Do you think that, and I know that they will always be called the 2020 Games, but do you think that 2021 is your last Olympics, or do you think that since it now will only be 3 years later after you compete in this Olympics, I mean, it's a long time, I know. But are you looking at the next year as, yeah, this is probably the end of my Olympic career?
Yeah, I think even though it is only 3 years till 2024, I think it'll be my last one. I'm kind of itching to get home, and I don't think I can push for another Olympics while I'm here. I kind of want to start a family, and don't want to be traveling all over the world while I have kids at home or kids with me on the road. So, but we'll see. I thought I was done after 2016, and here we are 4 years later in the same boat. So we'll definitely see what happens, but not likely.
You mentioned you travel over the world for this. When in your head, now with the Olympics gone, do you think the next time you're going to compete is?
It's a really good question. Things are changing daily with our international schedule, but I don't think we'll have any official decision until the IOC announces when the Olympics will actually be. But I'm hopeful that we could have some events maybe the end of this year, October or November. That's usually when the season for the next year. So 2021 season actually starts in October or November. So hopefully we can get a few events in this year, but if not, it's completely understandable, and we'll just have to prepare on our own.
So what are you and Carrie doing? I mean, you chilling out? When is it that if you're not going to compete again until October, when is it that you two need to get together and start practicing again?
Yeah, so I'm home in Florida right now. I'm lucky enough that we have a volleyball court in our yard and a home gym in our barn that I can work out in. So I'm, working out, but out on the sand maybe twice a week just to get some touches on the ball. Carrie's in California. She has 3 kids, so she's learning how to be a teacher and homeschool them. So she's pretty busy doing that. And we'll keep in touch over the next month, 2 months, and if we need to or want to, Carrie will come down here to Florida to get some practice in, and we just can only take it day by day. We don't know what's going on, which it's hard because we want to know, we want to plan, but for now we can only take it one day at a time, and we'll stay sharp however we can.
I'm guessing in Lauderdale and in some beaches in California, when you walk on the beach, they know who you are. But this isn't like, it's not like you're Serena Williams, the best tennis player in the world, where you're instantly recognized everywhere. So I am curious, has there ever been a point, whether when you were at FGCU or any time in your professional career, when you and whether it's your partner now or someone else have ever walked to the beach and there's a couple of guys that think they're good playing beach volleyball and you've just cleaned their clock to make yourself smile?
We've wanted to do that several times. We have our court out in California that we practice on every morning, and sometimes we get there and there's guys there playing that think they're good, and we have to ask them to move, and they give us a little attitude sometimes, but I think they recognize Carrie and then they gladly move. But we'd be happy to play off for a court if we have to.
Oh, that's so polite of you.
It really is. Well, I had an old friend, David, in Brook, that was a buddy of mine that I grew up with. His aunt was a professional pool player. When I was in college, I always wanted Ava to show up at one of the bars we hung out at and just throw quarters up on the table and let her play for 3 or 4 hours, because the look that she would get from guys. I'm going to beat this lady. And I just thought, that was in my head, Brooke, of you and Carrie just walk into, well, you guys want to play? How about we play for $20? And, and just humiliate them. And I just think that would be so fun to watch from the sidelines.
Well, and Mark, Brooke's husband's a pro volleyball player as well. I mean, the two of them in a month or so here, when things open up, could just sashay down to the beach, and they could just be ringers all day.
That's a good idea. I'm not making any money right now, so.
Start
That's a great
Start
idea.
hustling these guys on the beach a little bit, Brooke.
I will. I'll tell him you told me to.
Brooke, be safe, and all the best to you and your family, and best of luck in the future, and hopefully we can keep in touch.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Brooke.
You bet. Brooke Sweat, an Olympian in 2016, teaming with Kerry Walsh Jennings, hoping to be an Olympian again, only now it will be sometime in 2021. And it is her birthday today. And while she is not old, certainly, but if you're a professional athlete, 34 is getting up there. And as she said, hey, it's time to start a family. So just going to give it a go with Kerry Walsh Jennings. They are one of the best teams in the world.
I'm telling you, that I guess that's just the twisted person that I am, David. All I can see is her going down to Marco or Fort Myers Beach and just, because if she was with her husband, it'd be different. He's, she's 5'8", which is a tall lady, but I'm guessing if her husband's a pro beach volleyball player, he's 6'3", 6'4". And just having her take some high school kid who's a good volleyball player. Come on, we're just gonna go abuse men for a day. I just think I would love to be the guy knowing it's coming and being able to film that. That to me would be just hysterically funny.
I like that scenario, and it also got me thinking. Your friend there, who's the professional pool player. You're right. That could be a scene right out of a movie. There.
Ava Mattia. You probably know the name because she did a lot of videos. She was a great looking woman.
Yeah,
great looking woman. And Terry Carpenter's my oldest friend. He and I have been friends since we were 7 years old. And it was Terry's aunt. And I always used to tell TC, I'm like, God, can we get her to come to Rick's one night? Just one night. Because no one would recognize her.
Miller and Moulton. We'll switch gears. We'll go from the Olympics to the NFL. Pat Kerwin to talk all things football coming up next. A reminder, 479-5551. Not only can you text in a thought or a question for Pat or any of our guests on the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text line, but we end the show now, immediately following the good, the better, and the best, is Takeout Shoutout. Your chance if you're a small business owner, or heck, even if you're an employee and you want to promote where it is that you work, because let's face it, it's all hands on deck right now. You can call in at the end of the show and give a quick 20, 30-second shout out, or you can jump in on the text line at any time and let us know who you are, where you're from, the whole deal, and we'll help promote your business at the end of the show. We're just trying to do our part as not only doing the show, but while doing it, well, help out even more. Miller and Moulton. Pat Kerwin next here on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Do it.
Our sound is a sound that makes you stop. Stop. And listen.
Listen to me and you listen well.
It's a collective voice that calls out to you, the fan.
We get a lot of zany people that call in.
This is our sound.
We're dealing with sick people here.
They're just absolutely nuts.
Crazy stuff happens. That's all I'm saying.
And you can only get it here.
Get crazy, get wild.
On Fox Sports Radio.
The Dear Happy Show.
Brought to you by Hardee's.
We've got Melissa on the line.
Hey, Happy. My kids have baseball practice on Saturday mornings, but it's my only day to sleep in.
Well, break it to them early that they're not going to make the majors.
But I don't want to crush their dreams.
That's fair. Then why don't you swing by Hardee's on the way and get the new BFC Frisco breakfast sandwich with a crispy wheel of cheese inside, so everyone's morning can be super.
Okay.
Call in next time at 1-833-HI-HAPPY.
Available for a limited time only at participating Hardee's restaurants.
Feed your happy. The Dear Happy Show.
Brought to you by Hardee's.
Eric, you're on with Happy.
Hey, Happy. I'm applying for a mortgage and I'm debating a 15-year or a 30-year rate.
Forget about the property ladder. Get on the burger ladder.
What?
The new BFC Angus Thick Burger from Hardee's has a crispy wheel of cheese on top.
You're right. As long as I have a good burger, I'll always have a place to call home.
Exactly. Call in next time at 1-833-HI-HAPPY.
Available for a limited time only at participating Hardee's restaurants.
Feed your happy.
You own a home with a tile or shingle roof? You live between Port Charlotte and Marco Island? Hello, I'm Jimmy Williamson with Williamson Brothers Roofing. If you answered yes to either question, it's very likely your roof suffered damage from Hurricane Irma that's not visible from the ground, and you may very well be entitled to a new roof for little or no money out of pocket. but you only have a 3-year window to make a claim, and time is running out. If you have a tile or shingle roof and live between Port Charlotte and Marco Island, call us at 239-283-2013. It's a free, no-obligation inspection that can benefit you in the form of a new roof. Williamson Brothers Roofing, we deal with the insurance carrier for you. Call us at 239-283-2013. Again, time is running out. Call us at 239-283-2013. Williamson Brothers Roofing specializes in the claims process. We have experts standing by. We get claims approved. 239-283-2013.
103.3 Cape Coral. We are Buzzworks.
Hey, Aaron Walker here from Naples Nissan. So by now, you've had to have heard about our 8-year, 80,000-mile trade-in offer. If it's less than 8 years old, with less than 80,000 miles on it, we'll give you the original base MSRP for it. Yeah, so whatever that Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Hyundai, or Kia was worth 6, 7, 8 years ago, that's exactly what it'll be worth now. Ah, yes, but only at Naples Nissan. Chevy, Ford, Dodge, Chrysler, yep, we'll take those too. Hundreds of happy customers from all over Southwest Florida have already brought us their trade-in. It's not too late for you to do the same. We've got over 400 new Nissan models on our lot. Pick out your favorite 2019 or 2020 model at naplesnissan.com, and then we'll give you the original base MSRP for your trade-in so you can drive it home today. Seriously, what are you waiting for? Offer on select models with approved credit and cannot be combined. Visit naplesnissan.com for full details.
Hi, this is Rich Castellano. I invite you to come check out the world-famous cigar bar.
Nobody beats the world-famous cigar bar. Southwest Florida's original cigar bar since 1996. With locations in historic downtown Fort Myers, Gulf Coast Town Center, and Cape Coral. Sit at the bar or relax in the lounge in comfort with plenty of TVs at all 3 locations where you can watch your favorite sports in comfort. Step into the humidor and let one of our experienced tobacconists help you pick the perfect cigar from our great selection. And the liquor, martinis, single malt scotches, small batch bourbons, high-end cognacs, and a great selection of craft beers. Nothing can compare to the selection, experience, and atmosphere of the world-famous cigar bar in historic downtown Fort Myers at the corner of First and Henry, at the Gulf Coast Town Center Mall next to Outback Steakhouse, and in Cape Coral on 47th Terrace in the Big John's Plaza.
Good times, great cigars at the world-famous cigar bar.
And don't forget Cigar Bar Live downtown.
Now back to Miller and Moulton.
All right, now we're getting somewhere.
No. This is Miller and Moulton.
You're live.
24 minutes past the hour of 8 on this final Friday of March in 2020. We're Miller and Moulton, and this is Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
Got your caller.
FoxSportsFM.com, broadcasting live many a place, including on the Miller and Moulton YouTube and Twitch TV channels. Pat Kerwin, kind enough to join us once again on the Goldberg, New and Abraham Law Firm hotline, and he does so courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and many points in between Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. Pat, how are you?
Well, good morning, fellas. I'm doing fine. Still pounding away at free agency, and I guess 6 general managers who think they should move the draft back are going to be told to shut up. So there it is. That's my day.
There it is, Pat. And I know you agree with those general managers. You were the first one that I heard, and it was on our show, in which you said this is stupid. They need to be pushing all this stuff back. Well, Raj didn't listen to you, Pat, and he only didn't listen to you. He told anybody that's not listening to him that I'll fine you if you don't do what I say. They are hell-bent on keeping their season going forward.
Well, I don't know what the fine is, but some guys might say, let's see, the draft cost me about $7 or $8 million to execute for a year-round project. The fine's $10,000. I might just open my mouth. So who knows what's going to happen? But the focus seems to be, I'm not one of the GMs, so I get to talk without fining me. The focus seems to be on the event. Oh, let's make sure we know where to have the event. We know how many people. There's a naiveness to this that is troubling, and that's what I think the GMs are concerned about, because if I hear the level playing field comment one more time, or what happens if my GM gets the virus and he can't be there? It's those kind of things. When are you going to worry really about the level playing field? Are you going to now skip drafting every guy that had a medical recheck issue? Is that fair to them? I wonder if players think, let's see, I was scheduled for a recheck. They're not going to have the recheck, and now I'm not going to get drafted. I want to go back to college. What are the ripple effects of all this down the road? And is there a level one saying, I'm suing you over this? We'll see what happens, but I know that the fan base, because we all deal with them, is thirsty for events. So this is an event they love. We all know that. TV ratings prove it. But preparation is what I've focused on, and apparently the GMs were too. I don't think people really understand. So it's going to go on, and I love the cynic who says, well, you make a lot of mistakes anyway. So we talked about it Tuesday. I'm not going to bring it up again, but there it is. They're going to go forward with it, which means I have to go forward with it, which I can't sit here and worry about the reality that it's a mistake. I just will prepare and be ready in 4 weeks to have a comment on every player picked. And I'll have a nice list of guys wondering, wonder what happened to that guy. Oh, that's right. They couldn't figure out if his character issues. Now, I did talk to Bruce Arians about it, and he would kind of tongue-in-cheek say, well, I'm doing video conferences. And I said, Bruce, it's not the same thing. When a guy comes to your building, I'll explain this to the listeners, he's not coming in there with his family and his agent. He's coming in there, we're closing the door, and he's got to perform in front of every dimension of our organization for a whole day. And you find out things. So when he has a video conference from his house with his agent sitting next to him, but you can't see him, that's not the same thing. So I'd be careful about what information you think you learned during a video conference.
Pat, final draft question. Listen, technology's great. I mean, obviously, Mark and I are, all three of us are at three different places, and we're conducting this interview, and we're even televising it on multiple platforms. Okay, but for what is involved with the draft, and especially in terms of the possibility of making trades, should there be an extra minute or two given? I mean, for this particular draft this year, the way it's going to be done, should 10 minutes become 12? Do you think the teams need a little extra time, or no, they'll be fine? It just won't be the TV product we're used to.
No, I'll stand my ground, David. They need about a month and a half to get ready for all this.
No. That's not. Pat, that's not what I meant.
I'm being cynical. No, I know you guys. I couldn't stand the thought of answering that question without commenting on what they really should do. In regards to 2 minutes, I'll say this to your listeners. Draft trades really don't happen between picks. They are all set up, and they are there's a contingency plan. You don't identify. Let's say I was going to trade with you, David. I'd call you and say, look, I am interested in your spot if my guy is there. Now, there's no name mentioned. Right. And your answer to me is, well, we'd be interested in moving down to your spot if our guy isn't there. So what compensation would you give me? Okay, blah, blah, blah. You know what? I like that deal. But let's check in right after the pick before us, as you guys know. And if the guy I want's gone and the guy you want's there, and this is what you agreed to, then we'll make the deal. But if you call a guy for the first time and say, hey, you want to move that pick right now? It almost never happens that way. So you gotta have plans and structure all over the place. And remember, I got to deal with 3 or 4 teams because I need, if where I want to go is 5, but I might have to go to 4, and I might be able to settle for going to 6, depending on it. So you're dealing with 3 teams to hit the right landing spot for the right compensation. And, it takes a lot of different people. Like, I remember when I was with Steinberg and Ron Wolf, we were operating with the people we knew the best. So I had Kansas City and Chicago, and Ron had Atlanta and Oakland, and Dick had the Patriots. And so we were operating that way. So this idea that, we're going to let you have a limited number of people. Okay, well, how's that going to work? Who are the limited number of people that are required to be in a draft room? I bet if some of those guys that are making these decisions wouldn't even know how many people are in there. And I'll say this, the last thing. When I saw Dick Cass say, we probably aren't going to see these players till July, was he going to get fined for that now? So I this morning, I know get to this subject today. I said, well, let me just inform Mark and David's listeners, how many people will be at the first practice? At a minimum, 150. And did anyone remember that the huddle is 11 guys squeezed next to each other? They ain't 6 feet apart. Can you imagine a huddle with everyone 6 feet apart? Come on. Take that image into your head and say, you're probably right. We can't even practice till July.
Pat, I am going to go back to the draft because you said something that has intrigued me about the visits. You said that they deal with the entire front office. So can you give me an instance of when you were working with the Jets that somebody, I don't care if it was a secretary, a person in marketing, a salesperson, was there ever a time that a football player did something really with a non-football person that affected you wanting to draft them?
Yeah, lots of things. So, and it's a good question, Mark. So it involves literally everyone. The secretary. So the kid sits at next to the secretary, waiting to see the head coach, and the secretary is looking for information too. They strike up a conversation. I remember my secretary sitting. The kid, I wasn't ready to see him, and he was sitting there, and they talked for about 20 minutes. And I didn't get back to her till the end of the day. They said, "Hey, you were sitting with that kid. What was it like?" And she said, "Well, most of the guys come in and talk about, wanting to play here. All he wanted to know is how close was the nearest mall, because he likes to go shopping on his days off." And another one was telling her how, he really likes to play dominoes every day. So you find out all this other personal stuff. But the kid is waltzed around the building. He is going to see the equipment guys, and they might take his helmet size and a couple other things that you're going to need down the road in case we draft him. I remember my equipment guy once said, "Are you sure you want to draft this guy?" And I said, "Well, why are you asking?" He goes, "Well, he was downstairs, and we asked him his helmet size, and he didn't know. So he took a helmet and took a tape measure and measured the outside of the helmet to see what his helmet size was." Not real smart. Another guy sat in my office once and said, if you draft me, so behind my desk was a picture of a jet flying over the stadium. So I said, "Do you have any questions?" This was a first-round pick. I said, "Do you have any questions?" And he said, "Yeah. If you draft me, could I get a flight in that jet? Would someone let me go fly in that?" So you realize there's a maturity level you're looking for that surfaces a lot of times is not mature. The doctors meet with them. The trainers meet with them. The strength coach goes and finds out for real what the guy's been doing. Now, you don't work him out because you can't, but you can ask him a lot of questions and probe the techniques he uses. And those guys will come back and say, "That kid never lifts. I can tell you that right now." Or, whatever. So there's a million things that are going to be gathered. So when the player leaves, you kind of go around, I did, and then to everybody and say your impression of him. "Oh, I don't think football is very important to him. God, he's not very bright." All this stuff would come up. And then the doctors would say, "That ankle we saw at the combine, it hasn't healed." So you're not getting that in the video conference. So I don't know what they think they're getting. And a lot of guys, I think, are going to have to skip players with medical issues that might be okay. So it's going to be strange to see how much risk, that's what this really is, how much risk the drafters are going to take in order to make sure the event goes off on time.
He's Pat Kerwin of CBS's NFL Today show. Also moving the chains weekday afternoons, NFL Radio with his co-host Jim Miller, and he joins us twice a week during the season, courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West and many points in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. All right, a two-part draft question. One, how real do you believe is all this talk lately about the Dolphins willing to move up from 5 to 1 to take Burrow? And two, what type of compensation? I mean, would their 3 first-round picks be enough, or do they have to offer up a number 1 next year? I mean, so A, is it real, and B, what's that cost to move from 5 to 1?
Well, it depends on who made the call. So if Miami calls Cincinnati, it's going to cost everything you just said and a little more. If Cincinnati called down to them and said, hey, we'd be interested in selling the spot, the 3 ones might do it. So it always starts with who made the first call, and everyone who's negotiated anything in their life knows that. Okay. Yeah, I think it's nice. It's not April 1st yet. April 1st, which is April Fool's, is the start of lying season, and April Fool's carries all the way to the draft. I don't know if they're going to do that, but if I had the first pick, would I ask for all 3 of your picks? Yeah. If you said no, I'd say, yeah, I think we'll just take Burrow. Why are they calling? But I don't even know if they really are. Are they calling because they know we the next Dan Marino, and we only think there's one of them in this draft? Remember, the Bengals coached Herbert in the Senior Bowl. They know that guy inside out. Now the question becomes, well, if we move down to 5, will we get Herbert? See, that's the part they don't know. And you could have all the picks in the world, but if you're saying, we got to get a quarterback too, and we like Herbert, but there's no guarantee we'll get him at 5, who knows what the Chargers are going to do? That's the problem. And maybe it turns into the Eli Manning, Phillip Rivers deal. We'll take Herbert. We'll take, Joe at the top, and then if Herbert's there at 5, we'll make the switch with you. But we're not going to run the risk of missing on both of them. So there's a lot of things that have to happen, but for the sake of a radio show, 3 first-round picks to move from 5 to 1 sounds like a lot, but if you think there's only one quarterback and you've been waiting since Marino, you probably would do it.
When you look at New England and see Stidham and Hoyer, what is that telling you?
6 wins.
But does it tell you that there's somebody else being added to the equation, either via trade or draft? I mean, do you really believe that the plan A post Brady was Jarrett Stidham and the best backup we can find?
No, but when I went over this Tuesday, the amount of quality players that have left the organization because of this fire sale that's going on. If it keeps going on, you started to wonder, are they looking to go in a different direction with an eye on 2021? I don't think they think that way, but there's a heck of a quarterback at Clemson. But Hoyer, as I said the other day, the guy is 16-23, lifetime as a starter. He's only thrown 43 touchdown passes in those games. He's lost his last 10 straight starts. He's 2-14 in his last 16 starts. So I wasn't kidding when I said 6 wins. They're not going to go anywhere. But as I said the other day, not to continue to repeat myself, but I think Cam Newton would be great there, but that's not going to happen. There's not many places to go. The Dalton thing, from what I was told, was that they want too much for him. And if I'm Cincinnati, with their history, especially if they're talking about trading down, which I doubt they are, they're not really easy to talk to when it comes to trading. Then they can't let go of Andy Dalton yet. And number 2, knowing what their innate fears tend to be, do you think you should trade Andy Dalton before you have your quarterback signed, considering the guy might say, I'm not coming? You cannot lose your leverage if you're Cincinnati, that the guy might, balk on you. So I don't think he will. I don't think anyone will. But there's always the fear. And if you don't have your Andy Dalton, you trade Andy Dalton, your quarterback refuses to sign. How disastrous is that, David?
And obviously, that is a mess for any team. But the other part of Cincinnati that I had heard, Pat, and I think you just kind of mentioned it, they typically don't trade draft picks. So even though you mentioned moving up to 1 to get them, this isn't a team that has done this in the past. So is that more like what the law is, or do we throw everything out and they're number 1 and we have to take it each year differently, or their history telling us they just don't trade draft picks?
They like their picks. I think if you look at their roster now, their record doesn't indicate what I'm going to say next, but they've done pretty well in drafts. I think the Tobins have done a nice job of helping them. And look, they did make a 4-year run into the playoffs. So they like their draft picks. Now, we did trades with Mike Brown. We traded for Boomer Esiason. We traded a swap of a receiver for a linebacker named Joe Kelly. So Mike he has made deals, and he can. It's not like he's living in a vacuum. But to my knowledge, and I'm pretty sure my source is good, that the Bears were real interested in Dalton, but he still wanted what I found out to be somewhat unrealistic. But it's not unrealistic if you want to hold on to your guy for now. They might get really what they want for Dalton when the starter gets hurt in September. And I always remind everyone, when they drafted Carson Palmer, number 1, they kept hitting and played him for a whole year. So they might be thinking that Andy Dalton, Malik Hittner will play him for a whole year. It's only $17 million. Mike Brown did call Carson Palmer a welcher. Remember? A welcher, a guy who backed out of his deal. He doesn't want to be called the welcher for moving away from Dalton. So maybe he'll keep Dalton. It's kind of confusing where they operate from, but I did a breakdown of them yesterday. It's not a great situation. I don't know. Young coach is going to have a hard enough time. I'll ask you what I asked Jimmy Miller. What would you define as successful Bengals season next year? Their line's not very good, so why would I want to put Joe Burrow behind it? They were 2-14. My version of success is 6 wins. I think if they got to 6 wins, I think they're making improvements.
Well, and what's a shame is they've invested a lot in that offensive line, and guys have gotten hurt or they've invested money in the wrong players. Remember, their first-round pick from a year ago was an offensive lineman, I think, from Alabama. He got hurt in the preseason, never played a game. So in theory, they had another first-round pick this year. Hopefully the line is better. Pat, I just want to go back to what is it that they're asking for? Foles got a 4th, which I thought was a lot considering his contract. I didn't think the Bears would have to give up that much, actually. The Patriots don't have a second-round pick. You could see where Cincy's probably wanting a 2, and teams are maybe offering a 3. I mean, they can't be asking for a 1 for a guy that they're moving on from who's only got 1 year left on a deal, can they?
No, they can't, but they sure will have no problem asking for it. Remember the Foles deal had this huge roster bonus in it. Dalton doesn't have any time-sensitive roster bonus. But the day after the trade, which was last Friday, there was going to be a gigantic chunk of money due to Foles, and they didn't want to pay that, so that was the trigger to move them. There is none of that in Dalton's deal. It's a straight 17-5, and it's not due till the season starts, and it's unguaranteed. So there's no pressure to move them yet, and I wouldn't if I were them. If you're not getting what you want, and you don't have your rookie drafted yet, and you're maybe talking about moving down, I don't know. You guys by Tuesday figure out how you're going to get Herbert if you move down, and then I'll listen. But since I can't figure that part out, I'm waiting for Mark and Dave to tell me how to do it. It's David. I know your mother said I can't call you Dave.
That's very, very. Yep, and tip your pool guy. My pool guy reminded me that if he did David's pool, he'd have done a better job with mine this week. Pat, I got a question from a listener today. A text asking about the Bears, a Bears fan going, will the Bears try to move Trubisky, and where would they move him? And he named a few teams. I thought it was kind of laughable. I don't think Trubisky's worth anything. What would Trubisky be worth if the Bears actually wanted to trade him?
Not much, but it does lead me to and we're coming up on a date here, which I covered yesterday, of do quickly, and Trubisky's part of this. The 2017 first-round draft, you have to declare your option bonus for the 5th year by May 30th this year. So think about that. Then there's new rules for the 5th-year option. And if I declare I'm going to exercise the option, it's fully guaranteed. So Trubisky's on the list. So right off the bat, I'm going to ask you the question, then I'll answer your question. Would you put a 5th-year option on Trubisky, either one of you?
Hell no.
And that's probably going to be $25 million.
Hell no.
No, absolutely not.
Hell no. So then trade him, right? So then if you can actually, and I say that because in the first round, they've already had 4 trades. Connolly was moved already. Jabril Peppers was moved. Taco Charlton was moved. And, of course, Reuben Foster was just exiled. But so this happens a lot. And now that we have a new set of rules for the option, and the option could be significantly higher, I don't think Trubisky's going to qualify for 2 Pro Bowls, which would make it the franchise tag. But so when I went through the first round yesterday, I don't think you can, and you guys could do it, we could talk about it Tuesday, but you go through the 2017 first round and say, how many guys would I give that option bonus to by this May, knowing I'm not going to see the guy? All he's going to have is the last 3 years of information, 17, 18, and 19, and I'm not going to see him maybe till camp if Dick Cass is right, but I have to make that decision by May, and it's going to be fully guaranteed. And I'll just go really fast here. Trubisky, Solomon Thomas, Corey Davis, Mike Williams, John Ross, Hassan Reddick, O.J. Howard, Garrett Bowles, Jared Davis, Charles Harris, Connolly, Peppers, Tack McKinley, Taco Charlton, David Njoku, Reuben Foster. Do you think you'd give a 5th-year option to any of those guys?
No.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, but this is, while all this is going on with the virus and the draft, you got this other storyline where these guys are going to be, this is your chance, you can keep them if you want, but it's fully guaranteed, and it's the transition tag money, or if they play in 2 Pro Bowls, the franchise money. So big financial decisions. You brought up Trubisky, Mark, and so I think right away, if I'm not going to put the option on him, maybe I should trade him. But I don't think he's going to get much for him.
No, not at all. Pat, thanks so much. Have a great show today, and have a great weekend, and hope things stay safe with you and your family.
Sure, and I enjoy talking to you Tuesday, guys, and be safe yourselves. It's kind of crazy out there, and one of my NFL buddies who's on top of this thing for the league has said to me, this last week and the next week coming up are the 2 most dangerous weeks in their minds. So whatever you think careful is more than that.
Okay.
Great advice, Pat. Thanks. We'll talk Tuesday.
Pat Kerwin, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. The good, the better, and the best. And
that's the first time you've got that right this week on the first instance. There you go. That's the positivity wearing off.
The good, the better, and the best, and takeout shout-out to wrap things up here on Miller and Moulton, Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio.
This is a special coronavirus update from Wink News.
I'm Therese O'Shea with Wink News. In just the last 24 hours,
you can say it. Go ahead.
New
you can
cases
call
of
me in if you want to right
in
now.
Southwest Florida. Statewide, the total is
Oh,
now
you what?
2,359. At least
it was funny.
have died across the state, including a Fort Myers
Doesn't mean I
man
wasn't an
whose
a-hole when I did it.
Lee County's
What do you
fourth
got there?
victim. Conrad Buchanan was a well-known DJ.
One of those Laurel bars?
We'll discuss a stay-at-home
Plush
order
bar.
today at 1 p.m.
Cookies
If
and
approved,
cream.
It would limit all non-essential business and would last through April 17th. The Lee County Sheriff's Office is stepping up patrols on and near the water, advising boaters to avoid large groups. Beaches in Lee County are closed. For coronavirus updates, trust Wink News, facts, not fear.
Dr. Jim DiRispino from Center for Men's Health today in Frank's garage. Doc, I was talking to a buddy of mine, telling him about my spring break plans, and he's like, where do you get the energy to do all this stuff? I said, testosterone replacement from C4MH.com. And then he asked me what testosterone has to do with energy.
Most people are aware of the effects of testosterone has on strength and sex drive, but for 99% of our patients, energy is the main focus.
I became a patient because I didn't want to lose muscle mass.
And there is hard data that testosterone improves mood, concentration, and memory.
So Center for Men's Health isn't just treating testosterone deficiency, it's treating the quality of your life.
Let me make this simple. Your body is a machine, and that machine was designed to run with a perfect testosterone level. But if you want to see how good your machine can perform, go to C4MH.com and spend the $45. You'll get over $400 of lab tests and a 30-minute physician consultation.
It's fast, easy, and convenient with locations all up and down the West Florida coast. Go to C4MH.com.
Welcome to Jimmy P's Chard. As you enter through the front doors, you'll know that you've arrived in the finest steak and chop house in Southwest Florida. All cuts expertly cut at their very own butcher shop. A true butcher block-to-table experience. 3 generations of mastering Wagyu beef, heritage Berkshire pork, poultry, lamb, and veal. The mood of Chard's nostalgic dining area is upbeat, high energy, and casual sophistication. A friendly and relaxed place, not fancy or stuffy. Chard's staff works hard to make you feel at home. Come in and unwind. Enjoy an exquisite glass of wine or perhaps a handcrafted beer with your perfectly charred steak. Afternoon or evening, it's going to be a wonderful experience at Chard. Jimmy P's Chard on South US 41 in Bonita Springs. Jimmy P's Butcher Shop on Old US 41 in Bonita Springs. Online at jimmypschard.com. Welcome to Jimmy P's Chard.
Did you see Boris Johnson's got
Tell him Jimmy sent
the
you.
virus?
105.9 Naples.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm not.
Hi, I'm Denny Grimes with Denny Grimes
Wow.
Team, Keller Williams Realty.
Did you see my
Want to
text?
Sell your home for top dollar in spite of a changing market? Then why leave money on the table? Because I have a proven marketing strategy that could put more money in your pocket. I even have a flexible commission plan that will
Want
add
me to read the
your
first
bottom
and
line.
you to read
I've
the
been selling
second?
homes
That's
in
exactly what,
Southwest
honest to
Florida
God, that's
for 35
exactly what I
years,
was
and I
thinking.
sell 10
Wow, maybe
times
we've
more
done a
homes
show
than the
together.
average agent. Now, I'm not trying to brag. I'm
Did you see
applying
my
for a
response?
job. I want to be
Yeah,
your real
laughed. I laughed.
confident that my plan will work for you.
I
That
just,
if you're not
and then I loved his response. His response
is priceless.
That's up there. That at least makes honorable mention of all the stuff that we've texted each other over the years. That's at least an honorable mention.
489 home.
I can't believe you two did not respond to my Reds.
To your what?
That you two were texting back and forth yesterday, and
We're on
about
the phone with our good friend Tim Meister,
and
owner of the
somebody
Four
brought up
Meisters in
Redskins
Naples.
and Indians,
TJ, we
and
hear
I
you've added
respond-
several new colors of Core-Tec to your great lineup of products at the store. Tell us more about that.
We just ordered 5
Thought you know what? I said it and I got busy. I did love the casinos line.
Southwest Florida. That'll bring our total of 55 colors of Core-Tec in stock every day for purchase.
I thought that meme was just spectacular. God, that's funny on so many levels.
We also carry the Core-Tec stone product. Looks like tile, looks like stone, but it's Core-Tec. So you get
Watch that dog video when the show ends. That's all I ask of you.
Oh, no, I watched it right before the show started. Oh yeah.
Look of wood,
Yep.
real wood,
Yep.
but with
Want to get back to licking my.
Southwest Florida's humidity.
If you haven't been to the Floor Meisters, you really owe it to yourself to visit the store. 6281 Naples Boulevard, right next to Costco, or go online, floormeisters.com.
Have
That's
to fly.
floormeisters.com.
From the best headlines
The best.
to the worst,
It's the worst thing that ever happened to anybody ever.
prepare yourself and hide the women and children. This is Mark Miller's Good, Bad, and Ugly on Fox Sports Radio.
You're live.
For the good today, we go to New York, as the Skiff community is helping to help the self-isolation of people. The Skiff Center in New York has prepared more than 30,000 meals that were distributed to various federal agencies in the area. They did a vegetarian meal, they did another meal, and getting out 30,000 meals. That's absolutely incredible. In Oxford, Mississippi, not only do they tailgate better than any place on the planet, well, their police officers have also chipped in because of the virus. They have been going to grocery stores to help residents 55 and older do their food shopping safely. They've had 2 officers, each wearing gloves and a mask at various supermarkets in the senior-only hours, helping with loading groceries in cars and handing out gloves to shoppers. And finally, the best, ingenuity is a beautiful thing, David. And that takes us to this man who was out of toilet paper, couldn't leave the house. What do? He called his friend David Chen. You see, David is an aspiring drone racing pilot, and he doesn't live too far away. So David grabbed a single roll of toilet paper, attached it to his drone, and flew it across the city to the doorstep of his friend who needed it. That, David, is the good, the better, and the best. On today, this 27th of March, this still is 20.
I'll tell you, you could make quite a business doing that here coming up soon. All right, it's time for Takeout Shout-Out. We want to give a shout-out to Blue Moon Pizza, College Parkway in Fort Myers. Open 11 to 10 daily. Carry out and delivery available. They have a family meal deal going on right now, Mark. For $40, it feeds a family of 4.
And the Beach Box Cafe on Gulf Shore Drive. They're open from 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. and are prepping orders for carryout. They just want everyone to know we are here for you. We are #Gulf Shore Strong. And that is our
shout out.
There you go.
At the end of every show, trying to help out in our little way. I know that a lot of people are appreciative that just us doing the show and keeping it a sports show and a little bit of their routine, and they like that, and well, we're going to do it throughout.
So if you know restaurateurs that are doing good things takeout-wise, send them to the Williamson Brothers Marine and Roofing text line, 479-5551. We'll use the end of the program every day to acknowledge the people that are working hard in Southwest Florida to make sure that we can keep meals on the table as we all fight through this together. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening. The Dan Patrick Show is up next. If you missed anything, go to millerandmoulton.com for the downloads. We'll be back on Monday. Have a great weekend.
We are Fox Sports.
All right, David.
All right, you guys have a good weekend.
You too, Giro. Be well.